Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's inspiring session entitled Behind the Screen, Keeping Kids Safe Online. We're thrilled to have you with us to be part of this My Pulse Live webinar series, where we come together to share knowledge, spark conversations, and empower families and communities. My name is Tony Ray Britton, and I work in the Wellness and Benefits Department here in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm also proud to be a part of the MyPulse team, which is committed to promoting a culture of health and well-being throughout the Massy Group. As we find ourselves in the heart of the July-August or summer vacation, many children are spending significantly more time online, scrolling, chatting, gaming, watching videos, and exploring. While the internet offers an incredible world of learning and entertainment, it also offers and opens the doors to risks that are all too real. Exposure to harmful content, strangers with bad intentions, online grooming, and the long-lasting impact of digital footprints. Today's session is designed to bring awareness, guidance, and practical tools to help kids feel safe in this ever-evolving digital space. So whether you're a parent, a family member, caregiver, or concerned community member, you play a vital role in helping children make smart, safe decisions online. And by being here today, you're already taking a meaningful step in the right direction.
Going on right now.
We're honored to be joined by Arnold Gosselin, who will be guiding us through today's very important conversation. Arnold Gozzi Gosselin is a devoted father, husband, youth leader, music artist, and entrepreneur. He, along with his wife Natasha, are the founders and visionary leaders of Echo Nation, a charity and movement whose mission is to change the culture, change the future. The movement builds awareness on how music, social media, and the internet impact the mental health and behavior of youth, and how these mediums can be used to bring about positive social transformation. In 2026, Echo Nation will be going into its 10th year of influencing positive social transformation in Barbados and across the region. Arnold has 20 years experience in the field of technology, designing and developing solutions for businesses, governments, and international enterprises. He also has a passion for music and is a multi-award winning Christian reggae artist who has performed in several countries and cities in the USA. His vision is to influence positive social transformation through his creativity, music, and lifestyle. Please join me in welcoming Arnold Gozzi Gosling to lead us through today's session.
Welcome.
Good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Morning.
It's a pleasure to be reaching out to all of you. Can I quickly get which country you guys are joining us from? So if you just put in the chat which country you're joining us from, that'll be really great. So that I could hear you. I heard some Spanish-speaking persons. I heard some other persons. So I see Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, USA. I thought I saw someone who was from Colombia. So far, only 3 countries with 1, 2, 3, 4. Barbados, USA, Guyana, Trinidad. Anybody else? All right, cool. It's from Colombia, right? 5. All right, well, thank you so much for having me, like I said. And today we're going to be having a very interesting discussion about keeping kids safe online. And I want you guys to understand that throughout this discussion, safe is not just about how can I physically protect my children, but it's also about their mental wellness. As you heard, Echo Nation, we are a charity. We are a social transformation movement, and we build awareness on how the negative influences in music, the internet, and social media impact our families, impact our spiritual health, our mental health, our behavior, our culture, and in essence, the future of our society. And we imagine a future where our families can engage in these mediums, but safely, confidently, and positively. And we want to educate persons, we want to equip persons, we want to empower them to do that. And so we're not only just an organization focused on young people, but we are also focused very much on our parents. And we believe that you guys play a major role in helping us achieve our vision, which is to change the culture, change the future. I want to say thank you once again to the Massy Foundation for having me. But not only that, over the last 2 years, we've been working with them in our Echo Voice campaigns, and we've been working throughout schools with parents, and we've reached thousands of students, thousands of parents as well through the campaign with the Massy Foundation. And this has included things like radio shows, parenting webinars and seminars. We've done several school intervention programs. We do also have a curriculum in schools where we talk about social media addiction and how students can overcome that. We talk about the internet safety and digital citizenship and what's the importance of that for students, and also the power of music and how that is impacting their behavior and shaping their identity. And all of that with the messaging of helping them to value their minds, to value their future, and to honor God. So that is what we've been doing. And because of the Massy Foundation, we've been really seeing a lot of growth and impact because of that. So once again, I want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you to Massy for having us. We really appreciate it. Now, I'm going to get and ask this question. I usually ask this question once I'm speaking to parents. I have basically 8 spheres of society, what we call spheres of society here. And I want you guys to tell me which of these spheres you think young people value the most. I'm going to explain them first, and then I want you to put it in the chat. Do you think it is family, friends, and relationships? Is that what you think they value the most? Is it the religion, the relationship with God, whether that's Hinduism, Muslim, Christianity, whatever? Is it their education? Is it the government and policies and laws and those type of things? Is it the environment, things like climate change, animals and plants? Is it economics, things like business, tech, entrepreneurship, those type of things? Art, sports, and expression, which deals with the cultural arts, music, all those things are in there. Or is it internet and media, social media, digital gaming? Those are the things. So I want you to think carefully and put in the chat which of these you think our young people value the most. All right. Which of these you think they value the most. All right. So put it in the chat. I see Suzanne is saying, I just want one, Suzanne. I just want one from you. One from you. All right. So I see Arlen is saying internet and media. Anne-Marie is saying internet. Jacqueline is saying, I think Jacqueline is saying friends. Yeah. See internet. So I see 2 friends, about 8 internet and media. Any other options or any other persons want to weigh in quickly? So most of you guys, okay, Tanya's saying art, sports, and expression. I realize no one is saying education. All right. So here's what, and I must say our studies are limited to Barbados, but in all the years that we've been doing this in the asking young people which of these spheres they value the most, they say they value the most family, friends, and relationships. All right. That is what they value the most. And we asked them, why do you think that your parents think that internet and media is the one thing that you guys basically said is the one thing that they value, that you value more than that? And it's because of the time that they spend on it. They confess that they spend a lot of time on their devices, and that's why you think that way. But honestly, when we also ask them, all right, why is that challenge that you're spending so much time with the internet and media where your family and your friends and your relationships is what you value the most? And we had children who were saying that, honestly, sir, because my parents are so busy, or they don't have time for me, or they themselves are on the devices, is why I resort to that. So as we go through this presentation today, I want you guys to recognize the importance that you play in the value that you have in your children's lives. They may not look so based on the time that they're spending on their devices, but they're saying that they value you guys. They value those relationships. And in helping us to understand this, we also have to look at what defines them. If we understand how they think or what characterizes them, it will help us to be a better parent even now in this digital age. Now, this is the most materially endowed generation, all right? They have all types of devices accessible to them. They're digital from birth. So even before they could talk, it's like they know how to operate devices. I have a daughter, well, she's grown up now, but before when she wanted to watch her favorite YouTube picture, we didn't teach her to use it on the devices. We didn't give her a device, but she knew how to do it. And we found out that she said, "Oh, daddy, all you have to do is press this microphone icon," because she couldn't spell, she couldn't write at that time, she couldn't read, but she could press a microphone icon and say, tell Google what you want to watch, and it finds it on YouTube, and then she could figure it out. So we didn't teach her these things. Or so these children are digital from birth. They do not know what a phone is. They only know what a smartphone is. And really and truly, they don't even use a smartphone for the value of it being a phone to call persons. They use it for so many other things. All right, they're entertainment addicts, and some of you may confess this as well. Sit down and binge what is your favorite TV program or gaming for hours. They are all about speed, speed, speed. So the first thing they ask for when they go someplace is, where's the Wi-Fi password? They want to be connected, and everything is happening so rapidly for them in terms of the change, the rate of change in terms of technology, microwave, fast food, fast this, and all these things. They're globally aware as well. So they're more in tune with what's happening around the world. Sometimes don't even know what's happening in terms of the news locally, but they know what's happening around the world. And it said that they are micro miners, meaning that you have to break down instructions into bite-sized pieces for them to understand, and they only do what they are told and nothing else. So you tell them, wash the dishes in the sink. They are not going to think about the dishes on the counter. They're not going to think about cleaning off the counter. Sometimes they don't even wash the dishes in the sink. They interpret it as wash what I use. All right. So all of these things characterize them. If what I'm saying you could identify with, guys, please put it in the chat that you are identifying with me. It is said that they want to be heard, that this is the generation of entitlement. They ask the question, why you can't do this, why you can't do that. And we grew up in the era, or most of us, we probably grew up in the era where if we dared ask our parents why, that will be met with a backhand, front hand. All right. So, and this is something that I want parents to understand, especially those listening today. It is important that they ask the question why. They are so bombarded by information. And if you as a parent could give them the reasons why you have certain standards in your home, why it is best not for them to do certain things, rather than just giving them a blank answer, it helps them to defend your values or the family's values. Because when they face their friends, they know why I am making this choice or why this is best for me. So please do not discourage them from asking why, but empower them by giving them information. And as we mentioned, they're all connected and shaped a lot by their friends. And all of this is important as we talk about the digital world, because when they interact with their digital world, it impacts their mental health. And their mental health is all about how they think, feel, and behave. And we want that our children, they are thinking positively, they have good behavior, they feel well and confident in themselves, and they know if they make a mistake or they come against adversity, whether online or offline, they're able to bounce back, they're able to work through those things, they're able to have good conflict resolution skills. And these are all necessary things for our children in a rapidly changing world. Everything is changing so fast, and as parents, it's so hard to keep up. You had the internet, you got social media, you got virtual reality, AI. Everything is happening so rapidly. So what can you as parents do to ensure that your children are safe? And I have a couple of questions that I want to toss up there, and I want you to think about them as we go through it. And then we're going to see how we could resolve some of these questions. All right. So the first question I would ask is, are we leaving our children, as we relate to the devices, exposed to inappropriate content and contact? All right. Are we teaching them about how to use devices safely and wisely before giving them access to them? All right. Are they being taught the discipline of when they should use it, where, how long should they engage in the devices and what they're doing online? These are all questions that I want you to think about and ask. Also, are we as parents informed about the apps, content, the ratings, and the devices before we actually allow our children to use them? Many of us are ignorant about certain things, but yet we give our children, and therefore, how can you properly parent if you don't have some knowledge about what you're putting in their hands? Do we monitor and supervise what they're doing online? And that's not just for the kids, the smaller kids, but also for our teens and our tweens. Are we monitoring and supervising them? And do we put measures and safeguards in place to protect their minds, their mental health, and their safety against online threats and addiction? Am I allowing technology and devices to replace my parental relationship? Because sometimes in having these busy lives, all we want is to come home and to woo-saw and to just get some time alone. And it's like, look, just go and look at this picture, just watch this thing, and they're quiet, and you're getting your serenity, but you're also probably giving that relationship that they're longing for, that they say they value, over to someone else online. So these are questions that, as parents, I would like you to ask yourself: how are you managing that in your home? With Echo Nation, we are prioritizing something called digital readiness over digital happiness. Yes, the pressure is that some of their friends, or a lot of their friends, may have devices, and it's like they want a device, they want to feel connected, they want to connect, all that sort of stuff. And it's just that you want to give them a device just to make them satisfied or to make them happy. But we want you to think, parents, to prioritize their digital readiness, ensure that they're ready and prepared and understand what they're getting involved with before giving them a device. All right. And what that basically means when we talk about digital readiness is to be echo-wise. They call it echo-wise. Having sufficient knowledge and understanding on how to use technology and the internet wisely, safely, and responsibly, and to positively learn and create and participate in an online community. And I'm going to challenge you guys as it relates to this digital readiness, that ask yourself this question: is a device the best thing for my child at this time, or a phone? Or what type of device is best for my child at this time? If your children are not meeting expectations at home, how are you thinking that they're going to meet expectations when you give them a device? All right. If they're not responsible enough at home, in a natural environment, will they be responsible in a digital environment? If they're not socially competent, if they don't know how to communicate and express themselves in a real world, would they be able to do that in the digital world in a way that is positive and wise? The communication skills, how they manage conflict, and the problem solving skills. So we always start off with this. As you are thinking about the digital world of your child, what are the goals that you have for them, for their digital engagement? And if you have not thought about this before, I want you to think about it. As a parent, you're there to protect, to nurture, and empower. And we are doing that in a natural sense. But we also have to do that in a digital sense to ensure that their safety and privacy is protected online, their mental wellness, and their physical health, the development of the brain. You're going to find out about that a little bit. Their critical thinking skills, that they're digitally literate, because this is their digital literacy is a skill that is fundamental for their engagement in the world going on, in terms of the world of work, in terms of the communities that they're going to be in. They must have good digital literacy skills. And we've realized that as much as children are good and obtaining gaming and how to social media stuff, go work on social media, they don't have good digital literacy skills, because they are more digitally dependent than they are digitally savvy. All right. How is it impacting their reputation and character with the things that they post and do? Their relationships, that is going to be impacted with what they do online. What are your goals for how they manage relationships, especially your relationship with them, with when they go online? Do you know that what they do online can also impact their academic future and their future careers and their future as a person and who they become? All of these are impacted when they engage in the digital world. And as parents, you must be also parenting in that sphere. All right. So from the time your child has an email address, a social media account, a gaming account, anything online, they have what we call a digital profile, or they have what we call digital citizenship. And their digital citizenship is all about how they engage and communicate in an online community. And we want them to do it safely, positively, and confidently. And we're going to be looking at three things that, in essence, form their digital citizenship, the three C's of digital citizenship, which is their contact, who are the persons that they're contacting, are they being safe, positive, and confident with that contact? Conduct, how are they carrying themselves online? What are the things that they're sharing online, and so on, what they're posting online? And then content, what are the things that they're consuming online, or the content that they're creating? All right, and as parents, we must be able to manage all three of these things if we want to keep our children safe online. Anytime they go online with all the devices, whether it's a phone, a smart watch, a tablet, whatever it is, they're creating what we call a digital footprint. And that digital footprint is both what we call passive footprints, which is data collected unknowing to them. So our devices are sharing information about their preferences, what they choose, what they watch, all these things, and it's shared unknowing to them. And then there's active footprints, data that is basically left, or a footprint that's left based on what you intentionally do online. All right, so they're both passive footprints and active footprints. And with the technology today, where all the information is pulling in from social media and the gaming apps and so on, there is someone that has a profile of your child. I tell students that I have a cousin who lives overseas, and with the data mining sites, I ask my cousin, do they share any of your private information online? And she says, no, I ain't sharing the information. And simply by putting in her name and telling the site which state she lives in, it was able to tell me exactly the Google location of her house, the names of her possible family members, which I verified, her email address, her phone number, and for $2 more, I could get a full profile on her. So it's important that we understand that the digital world is very powerful in the information that it gathers, and we must be able to equip our children with how to use it wisely. All right. So I'm going to first start about social media. And social media is basically applications and websites or that allow for the creation and sharing of information, ideas, and interests in virtual communities. And according to the information that we've interacted with young people about and what they're saying in the schools here in Barbados, I don't know if it's different in Trinidad or Guyana or Colombia or wherever you're from, but we're seeing that children are spending more than 8 hours a day, especially outside of school, on their devices. All right, more than, and in summertime, some of them say they spend almost 20 plus hours. And interestingly enough, they are up after 12 o'clock, between 12 and 5 o'clock on their devices, many times pretending to sleep. So when you go to sleep, they go on the device, they're up gaming, they're on social media, they're doing these different things. All right. So do you know what your children are doing when you are sleeping? And the thing is about social media, there is an online privacy and protection act called COPA, which says that our children should not have social media accounts before the age of 13. All right. And the reason for that is, as I mentioned before, their digital footprint, all this information is out there. Social media companies are gathering this information to sell that information to advertisers or to whoever wants to purchase it. So it's very important that as parents, we understand that when it comes to social media apps, we should not be encouraging our children to lie about their identity, falsifying their age and birthday in order to get access to these things. All right, because there is safety, privacy issues that you have to look at, and there are also mental health issues that you have to look at in when your children are going on to using these social media apps and devices.
And having been involved in developing apps and studying social media and so on for a while, I understand that social media is more about sociology and psychology than it is about technology. What that means, these companies study how our brains function, how we socialize as human beings, in order to manipulate that to get us to use our devices in particular ways for their benefit. They make money based on how many hours we spend online. All right. So studies have shown that with this increase in usage and how our interaction with social media works, that we are seeing that brain scans of social media addicts are similar to those of drug-dependent brains, all right? And especially in the areas that control our emotions, our attention, and our decision-making. So we have this coin phrase now called digital addiction or social media addiction or internet addiction, which in the simplest form is when we can't do without our digital devices, or when interacting with our digital devices interferes with our normal life. As parents, I want you to understand this. Social media and how we engage with our devices impact our brains directly. And if the earlier the child is on a digital device, studies are showing the more detrimental it is to their development and to their brain development, to their social skills, and also to their motor skills. We're having issues where, because children are up and they're just swiping on the device or tapping the screen, they're not developing what we have called painter strength. And so when it comes now to holding a pencil, when it comes to tying their shoelaces, when it comes to buttoning their shirt, these things become so difficult for them to do, or sometimes very painful, because of their overexposure on these devices and how it impacts their mood. Sometimes they're throwing tantrums when they don't have that, or they can't focus in class. All right, so there are several side effects of how social media and digital addiction is impacting the brain. The constant dopamine stimulation behavior, so they're bored without their device. They need a device to regulate their moods. Their brains are easily distracted or stressed, so they can't complete a task. They have to check in on a device. So you tell them to sweep the house, and they need to sweep the house every 5 minutes. They got to check the device. Shortened attention span, so that's why it's hard for them to stay focused in a class for 40 minutes. The ability to multitask is diminished because of the constant distraction. Long-term memory triggers are also diminished, so that you're seeing poor performances in school because children can't remember stuff because the information is not stimulating and it is not constantly moving, and therefore the constant distraction is hard to memorize stuff. And then you have things like the phantom vibration syndrome, where you think that your phone is vibrating, or you think you heard something, but then when you check, you don't have it. If that ever occurred to you, please put PVS in the chat. If you ever thought that your phone vibrated in your pants or something, or in your purse, and then when you check, it was not there or nothing ever happened, put PVS in the chat. If that's not you, put no PVS. That's cool. All right, but we are seeing these things among children, and there's so many signs now of our children being addicted to the screens. The first and the last thing they check daily, they wake up on the phone, go sleep on their phone. They're anxious when they don't have access to their phone or to Wi-Fi. Social media is disturbing their work time, their studying time. They announce everything in their statuses and so on. They announce what they're doing, how they feel. They're constantly monitoring what persons are saying about me online in terms of their posts, or if they don't feel confident, they're deleting posts that don't have significant likes and all these things, or they're spending excessive amounts of time in selfie filters. And we're saying that these can have a severe impact on their mental health, all right, in terms of poor sense of time, performance in schools decrease, procrastination, poor sleeping habits, poor hygiene, being on the device all the time. It is said that the longer young people spend on social media, the higher the risk of suffering from depression and sometimes loneliness and isolation. Some of them are being very defensive or dishonest with what they're doing and the time that they're spending. And many times, based on their access to a device, they can be very much agitated or aggressive if you per se take away the phone. So parents, it is not just about their physical safety, but it's also about their mental wellness. It's so important that we are there to monitor that. And if you are a parent of a young lady, it happens with young boys as well, but we're seeing it predominantly amongst young ladies. How is social media shaping their concept of beauty and how they perceive themselves? All right. And we are seeing so many of our young women, because they're not getting the attention, let's say from the likes, when they post a nice picture with a smile in a nice dress, they see that their friends or other people are getting the likes from posting more sexualized, and they get involved in doing these things. All right. Or sometimes they look online, and because of the feeds, they think that they're not beautiful enough. They think that they need to do this in order to look beautiful. So all of these things are being impacted when they go on social media. So parents, we need you to take notice of who is your child becoming because of their engagement online. And obviously, when you're on social media, when you're online in any chat room, so on, you have the possibility of them being exposed to cyberbullying. And cyberbullying is where someone is repeatedly harassing, threatening, or embarrassing someone online. And even though this is not necessarily a specified criminal offense, in many of our Caribbean territories, we know that it is something that is coming on many of the law books. And the whole concept of just harassing or malicious communication or posting indecent images of children or threatening people online, all those are basically crimes. And as parents, we need to be monitoring what is happening there, because sometimes your child is being cyberbullied. You're going to see a change in their behavior. Sometimes they're very aggressive, they're very angry, or they're vengeful against certain things that are happening. They're isolating themselves because of what is being said. There's depression, there's humiliation, low self-esteem, thoughts of suicidal thoughts as well. We're seeing a lot of that, and feeling even more vulnerable. So we have to be looking at these things as parents, and not only because of that in terms of how it's impacting our child, but also if our children are involved in cyberbullying. I know of a case, we know in cases in Florida where there was a teen who, because of cyberbullying, they committed suicide. And when the police did their investigation, they brought charges against the teenagers who were cyberbullying that young lady. All right. And then on top of that, they recognized that the parents of those teenagers who were doing the cyberbullying knew of it and said nothing. And they sought to bring further charges to them as well. So if you are not monitoring what is happening with your teen online, it could be you that may end up in trouble with the law, not only on that side, as well as you, where your child is going through these suicidal thoughts or fear and anxiety and depression. So we want you to know what is the best response. Teach your children to block those offending parties, update their privacy settings, teach your children to report it to you or to a responsible adult teacher or guidance counselor. And in some cases of serious issues, you may need to keep the evidence and escalate it to a principal or to the police or the persons involved in child care online. All of that is to teach our children, when coming to online communication, to share with care, be internet smart, be kind, and when in doubt, when there's something that is offensive to them, to be brave, to talk to someone about this. All right. Teach them to think, is it true, helpful, inspiring, nice, and kind before sharing anything? Because many of our children are oversharing when they go online, sharing too much information in the apps, and they're sharing information about where they are, where they live, what they're doing, and sometimes sharing inappropriate images. So I want to show you a video. Is a simple scenario that occurs regularly, really and truly. And I'm going to show you how these things can really impact the safety of our children. Take a look at this video.
Dinner time.
Gotta go, guys.
Hey, it's Carter, right?
Mhm.
I think I go to your old school. Want to join my chat and play some PvE later?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Dad, we have a new guy in our squad. His KDR is insane.
Huh.
Yo, I'm back.
Nice. Hey, I don't recognize you from school. Did you guys move?
Yeah, we're in Westlake now.
Cool. Well, if we're gonna team up, you can't be looking like a scrub. Here, take these credits and unlock the Dark Void skin.
No way. That's worth like $60. Thanks, bro. The squad is gonna be jealous.
Oh, my girlfriend's coming soon. Hey, are you with someone?
No.
Wow, Carter the loner has big evening plans with his parents.
Nah, my folks are busy. They let me do whatever.
Hey, I think I know a girl that'd be into you. Snap some pics and I'll show her. Wow, you're joking, right? Come on, show some skin. Go harder, bro. Show the girl what she wants to see.
Carter?
Nice. That's more like it. Kinda stupid, though. You know I'm showing these to your friends over at Westlake Middle School, right? Your life ends when I hit send.
What? Are you kidding? No!
Relax. As long as you do me a little favor, I can make sure nobody sees these pics again.
No, these are scenarios. That's a scenario that is very common. We know about these cases in Barbados, and we know of these cases across the Caribbean, where there are people who go on and they pretend, especially in gaming rooms or in WhatsApp chats, they pretend to be a child or be a school friend, and they're encouraging our children to get involved in negative social interactivity. Right now in Barbados, one of the things that we've recognized from doing our programs in the schools and reports that we're getting from teachers and guidance counselors, especially our tweens, are being manipulated into taking sexualized photos, sometimes naked photos, and sometimes it's being encouraged by adults, it's being encouraged by other students. And they're taking these photos and sharing it online. And these things have long lasting consequences, not only in terms of their mental health, but their academic and career future. So we have to be aware of the adults who are online, the child predators, the catfishers, persons who are faking their identity. We encourage children not to talk to anyone that they know in real life, that they don't know in real life, sorry. All right. And even if they're friends or family that are encouraging them into doing things that they ought not to be doing, these are things that they need to report, talk to adult about. And really we need to be watching those things. A lot of the predators, you hear terms like sugar daddies now, where people are going online. And I'm not only talking about teens and tweens, I am talking about children as well. Because unfortunately, there are some children, the youngest case I know of is between 6 and I think she was 7 years old, has a device, has a social media account, posting stuff online. And there are adults who basically reached out to her. She posted a picture of herself and her little brother, and this gentleman reached out to her and said, hey, I love that picture of you, your brother. I'm willing to give you a treat if you give me an opportunity to talk to your little brother. All right, so these are things that are happening here in our Caribbean countries. And the whole idea of a sugar daddy, especially for teens, where, hey, my parents not giving me this, so there's someone that who could facilitate that for me. All right. And in that scenario, it is not just about the whole sexualized stuff, but if you look at it from the gaming perspective, the guy gave him a gift in terms of the game at the very beginning. What could happen now is that later on, as he's been spending all this money on the boy, and he's building that friendship and he builds that trust, he could say that, hey, I want to get thing, but I'm out of cash right now. Can you just send me about $10 just to get this skin? But I don't have a card. I don't have money I could give, but your parents have money. Yeah, but I don't know if my parents will allow me to use the card. But gee, I spend $500 with you and it's just $10. They just want to use it one time. I'm going to send you the money back when I'm finished. And they go and they get your card unknowing to you, and they give the guy the information or the girl the information to spend the $10, and your credit card information is gone through the door. All right. So that is why parents, it is so important that you teach children all about this stuff. All right. The predators use several different techniques to gain their trust. There's grooming, which is building an emotional connection with the child by offering them attention and sympathy and affection and so on, especially if the child is in a busy household and it seems that they're not getting that attention. Then there's the whole fishing, casual conversations to get the child to reveal the identity, the schedule, and so on. Then there's mirroring their emotional language. So your child might post on their status
like my parents just don't understand me. I just wish like they would blah blah blah. And that person use that as bait in essence and say, yeah, I got the same thing with my parents. My parents just this and just that. And they start to share private information with them and make them feel like, hey, I understand you, in order to gain the trust and to wean the child away from the parent. And using gifts sometimes, using favors sometimes, and then once they got the information or certain things of information, they threaten them to embarrass them and in order to get them to do certain things. So these are all things that as parents we need to be looking out for. We need to know what sexting is and what that looks like. And sexting is basically using the internet or mobile device to create, send, or share sexually explicit messages, images of themselves, or videos or webcams. And you need to look at sometimes how many conversations they are having. If you're seeing a lot of fruit in your child's chat, it does not necessarily mean that your child is all of a sudden eating healthy and that type of stuff. It could mean that someone is trying to groom them into sexual favors. We don't have the time to go into what a lot of these things mean, but I will give you a simple one: Netflix and chill. Some of you may know what that is all about. And it's not that someone wants to come over and watch movies. It's all about sexual advances and getting involved in sexual intercourse. Some of you will know what the eggplant is all about. If you know what the eggplant is, put it in the chat. If you don't know what the eggplant is, tell me I do not know what an eggplant is, and we'll see how we can deal with that afterwards. All right. So we talk about contact, we talk about conduct, and then sometimes there are content. What is the content that our children getting involved with? What is it appropriate for their age? Is it appropriate in terms of the violence that they're seeing, sexual complaint, all these things? Yes, Suzanne. Yes, the eggplant is a male's sexual organ. All right. I don't know. A lot of children know about these things. All right. So we want to ensure that what our children are watching, the games that they're getting involved with, is something that is appropriate for them. And as parents, before you allow them to download a game, whether it's or purchase a game on PlayStation or whatever, check the ratings of those games. All right. Check the ratings. Do you know what those ratings mean? EC, E, E10, teen, mature, and adults only. We've come across it multiple times, almost in every session. Several of our children as well as teens are getting involved in playing games that they ought not to because of the ratings of the games. All right. And in a lot of these games, they have a lot of adult situations. They are exposed to sexual information, sexual content. They're exposed to a lot of violence or gruesome violence. They're exposed to language that is very full, and you are seeing your child take on some of this language and so on because that is what they're constantly feeding their minds. But it's not only in terms of the violent games. What we are saying, even in primary school, our children are playing these life sim games which present adult situations that glorify things like sexual discrimination, underage sex, a whole set of sexual stuff. And these games reward you when you are sexually explorative, if you want to call it, if that's a word. And then when you are making wise decisions, moral decisions within the games, they penalize you. I've seen this already, where you have to pay or you are penalized. You lose points for making good, sound decisions. So that is why, as parents, you need to know what is it that these children are playing. Are they exposed to sexual content, things like porn? Sometimes they're going on to sites, gaming sites, and they may click on things that they may not know is going to lead them in that direction, or they want to download these movies or pirate these movies. And a lot of these sites make their money from selling ads, and the ads that persons are interested in is those ads that's talking about a lot of sexual stuff. So we have to be careful of those things as parents. And then obviously we want to encourage you as we talk about what you can do as a parent now. We want to close off in these last 5 minutes looking at what you can do. Be internet smart. Teach your children to be internet smart, to share with care. Teach them don't fall for fake. Not everything online is real, so be internet alert. Not everyone online is who they say they are. Be internet strong. What are the things that they should not share online? What information about themselves, their passwords, and so on. They should not be sharing with anyone. Be internet kind, meaning that be careful what you say, because if you don't say things that are unkind or you don't want others to say about you, and then be internet brave. When in doubt, talk it out. So parents, there's a lot that the digital age has brought that impacts our parenting. There's more disinformation, more misinformation, more access for unwanted contacts and inappropriate content and threats and malware and all these distractions. But it's also an opportunity for you as parents to empower your child with more information to make sound decisions, to build stronger connections. Look at COVID, what we would have done without our internet connections in COVID. More access to be knowledgeable, to research, to study better, and all these tools to do more. And as parents, what should be our response? Our response should be that we should be vigilant, all right? Build quality relationships with your children. We could talk about all the tools that you could use to protect your child, but nothing beats having that quality relationship with them. Spend quality time with them. Develop an interest for what they're interested in. Be slow to judge and quick to listen to what they're going through. Even when you see them doing something that they ought not to be doing, don't judge first. Be quick to listen. How did you come about this? Learn to know what they know and learn about their experiences. And in the same time, teach them about the dangers of what they're of the online world and how they have far-reaching consequences. We also want to encourage you to have an age-appropriate talk about porn and inappropriate content that they may see online, and encourage them to be critical thinkers, understanding what is real, what is fake, and to set and agree to having particular ground rules that reflect our family values. All right, talk to them about positive ways of how they can use the technology. One of the things I told my son was, if you are going to spend an hour gaming, you must spend 2 hours in developing your personal leadership skills or your personal development skills, or in studying or whatever. So it is like, if you want to invest in this exercise, you must invest in developing yourself first. All right. We are Echo Nation. We have something called a family media plan as well, where is an agreement between the parents and the children about what is acceptable use. We are holding each other accountable. So parents, you have a responsibility to spend time with them and not just to be caught up on your devices or with work. And they also have a responsibility to honor you in terms of what they're doing. Teach our children all about media balance and the necessity of that. Is your child in the house all the time, in a room all the time by themselves, or are we having family time together at the dinner table? Are we on our devices, or are we saying, look, at the dinner table we're going to put away devices so that we can spend quality time together? There's so much things that we can do to help our children if we realize that they are having too much time on the devices, or they may have a social media addiction problem. Help them to recognize that they have a challenge and reassess their priorities, delay gratification, turn off notifications. One of the things that we heard in camp that children are encouraging is that parents should probably take the devices away at nights so that they could have a good rest. All right. Put limits on in terms of the time that they're spending on them, and reevaluate what are the apps that they're choosing and using. There are different types of technologies that offer parental controls that you can monitor the time. You can monitor what type of apps your child has access to. You can monitor what they can or cannot do, what they can download and what they can't download. Some apps go into the privacy area, which is being able to allow you to see who they're chatting with and what they're doing. But as parents, we also need to check up on them in terms of their browsing history. Check up on them in terms of who they are following. Make sure you follow them online and ensure that they are doing things that are appropriate online. All right. So guys, I know my time is up. So I just want to encourage you guys that you have the power to make a better choice as parents. All right. Yes, the digital world can be so evolving and it can seem like a lot. But there is the internet there. There is organizations like Echo Nation that provide parenting webinars and seminars that empower parents to how to parent better in the digital world. And I want to say big thank you once again to the Massy Foundation for assisting us with this. We want you to encourage your children to value their minds in terms of their mental health, to value their future, understanding that what they do online has far-reaching consequences, and to honor God in terms of setting standards that is reflective of good family, positive family values. And that is it for now. I want to say thank you. We're going to have some questions. If you have any questions, feel free to either post it in the chat, or I don't know if it's a turn on in mic situation. I'll be led by our host as to how we would
Sure.
of it.
Oh, Anna. So I would say thank you so much for your amazing presentation. I am not a parent, but I have godchildren, and your friends have kids, etc. Honestly, now I'm a bit scared because, of course, going into parenthood, you have to study, okay, how you're feeding them, how you're their mind, their development, all these different things. But now in 2025, and I'm sure for some time now, we have to think more about this digital space. And it really was a lot of information, but it was very, very useful. I was thinking about it for myself as well regarding the amount of time I spend on TikTok. Yes, TikTok is my little thing right now. And of course, if you want to be, or if I want to be a good example to my god kids when they come over, or as a future parent, I have to maybe make some changes in my life so that if they're mirroring what I am doing, it's a good and positive example. So thank you so, so very much. I'm sure the parents, the aunties, the uncles, the everybody, the grandparents possibly probably have a lot of questions. So we have Arnold for a little bit of time. So don't be shy. You can unmute and ask your questions, or you can drop it in the chat. Let me see if there's any in the chat.
Yes, I see one from Ms. Givens. She's asking, can you list some credible parenting monitoring apps or tools? It's hard to know if you're using the best option. All right. Well, parental control tools allow you to do things like content filtering, monitoring what they're doing in terms of tracking their location as well. You could manage their usage in terms of setting limits and permissions for what they can and cannot do online, and so on. And there are a couple of them. Most devices come now with parental control built in. So what I would say is that before you give your child a device, make sure you create an account if they don't have one already built with the school and so on, an account that is based on the child's correct age. Automatically, once you have an account set up that is based on the child's correct age, Google and Apple would normally automatically in release or activate the parenting controls on there. So your browsers will be activated so that they will have things like safe search. So safe search means that your child, if they got to do sexual education classes, they don't get access to porn and that type of stuff based on the Google search. So they automatically block out those things. There's Google Family Link, especially for Android. That's a real good option. It allows you to do all these things here, but there are also other options such as Custodio and Kaspersky for kids that gives you a little bit more control where you can actually see what they're doing, who they're actually messaging. But for us, we don't encourage that unless your child is really irresponsible and it is like, it should never replace your relationship with your child and your ability to have that conversation with them. All right. And that is something that we would encourage with our parents. Have that conversation with your child. Check in with them. Tell me what type of apps you're doing. Who is it you are messaging? Have that time where you sit down with them and you go through your phone with them. All right. And ensure that they're not blocking their statuses from you and those type of things. Those are things that you need to ensure. All right. So I hope that answers your question, Ms. Gibbons. All right.
I have a question, Arnold. So
Yes, go
as you
ahead.
know, it's July, August, summer vacation, and parents have to work. They may not be able to take vacation with the kids. So the kids may be with an elderly parent who isn't tech savvy. How do you think the older generation could possibly help manage the usage of the devices, etc., when the primary parent isn't at home to really monitor?
Well, the same parental control things allows
Mhm.
you as a parent, even though you're away, you could be at work, you could be whatever, and you could still monitor what is actually happening with the device. So if I, for instance, with my daughter, if I said that you only have 2 hours of your device today, she knows that after 2 hours, the device shuts down. She can't access it. She can't do anything with it outside of calling me if she needs to make a call. All right, so that is one tool that you can use to help those senior parents, the grandparents, or so on. If they're not that tech savvy, you could help using those monitoring and control tools. On side of that, you also have to share what are your ground rules with those persons. So if I am allowing my daughter to go and spend time at auntie, I will let auntie know, well, hey, here's the thing. I'm trying to practice good media balance with my child. So if it is that they're watching TV, you don't want more than 2 hours of TV or an hour of TV, get them to go outside, get them to read a book, encourage them in doing a chore or something like that, so that you understand that those parents carry the value that you make at home, those value settings as it relates to them and their safety and the digital device, those value settings go with them wherever they are. So it's really up to the parents to do that and ensure that happens when they're away from home.
Thank you very much. There's a question from Dr. Well in the chat as well. In these times, there's a lot of attention, room paid to the rights of the youth. How do you help parents negotiate these boundaries regarding monitoring social media spaces, especially with adolescents and youth?
All right, so that was a big thing we had. We're currently doing a camp, a summer camp for 2 weeks with the help of Massy Foundation with some teens and tweens. And yesterday, we've been talking to them about social media addiction and all these things. And yesterday, the big thing was, especially for those teens who purchased their own phones and said, well, my business is not my parents' business. This is my phone. I pay for this phone, blah, 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 blah. I tell parents that your teenagers don't have fully developed brains, all right? That part of the brain that is driving their immediate response to getting things, and just that dopamine driven thing is there constantly driving their decision making, their attention spans, and so on. So as teenagers, we still need to parent them. Their brains don't develop to 21, 22, 25, anywhere around there, right? So as you need to know that you need to parent at that time. And I encourage parents. We are seeing it here in Barbados where there are laws that basically impact what our children do on their devices. If there are not adults to manage the consequences of their responsibilities, the full consequence, which is you can pay the lawyer, you can pay everybody, you can handle that all by yourself. If you need your parents' assistance by law to do that, by law, your parents should have access to everything you're connecting with, because what they do on their digital devices can have a significant impact on their real world. All right, so now it comes where they're in the era of child's rights and entitlement to privacy and all that sort of stuff. I tell parents, as long as you are responsible for them and their devices, their right to privacy is what you give them, and you need to communicate that, because they need to understand that you're protecting them based on their online space. In the same way they need natural protection, that extends to their online space. The online space does not give them a right to disregard your responsibility to make sure that they are safe and that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in a digital space. So I encourage parents to know, don't be blocked from your children's status, because if your child is blocking you from their status, understand that what they're in essence saying is that other people outside of who is responsible for me can see it. So the catfishers and the online predators can use that to manipulate them. And if you're blocked from that, how can you manage and monitor what is really happening to them? And like I said, we are seeing a lot of this happening, especially with our tweens, who are now getting introduced to the social media, and they're knowing their friends are teaching them how to block statuses or whatever in order to manipulate them to doing certain things. So as parents, you must recognize, maintain control of that. Even if you didn't buy the device, once the device is being used in your home, once you're responsible for that child, you must communicate that I am responsible for you by law, And this extends to that digital space. I hope that helps to understand the reason for that.
It does. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Any last questions before we wrap up? I'm seeing some comments in the chat. The boy moms are saying they can't stand the loud noises and outbursts they make when they're playing the games. Very informative session. This was so in-depth. We really have to be intentional with our approaches. My preteen is an only child and he's definitely addicted to his devices. I see where he's willing to put down the device, but I have to be able to keep him engaged while he's off the device. Otherwise, he's searching for the device again. This addiction affects their eating habits, their involvement in the home, and their ability to socialize with their peers in person. Very, very true.
I think that is so true what you're saying there, that when our children becomes device dependent, it is a situation where you are setting them up to where in terms of when they got to go into the world of work, when they have to go back to school, or even if they have to go overseas to study, their social skills, their ability to interact in an environment, their ability to present themselves, to express themselves is so diminished because they're accustomed to being behind screens. The ability to have a good night's sleep, as Christina is saying, is really hampered. And then their ability to perform in class is going to be also hampered. So until we, as parents, understand that maintaining that good balance between what they do and how they use their device, where they use it, when they use it, is really critical. And as you said, let me see who made the comment, Tanya, as you said, that relationship you're building with your child in playing games and getting involved with what they're doing is so pivotal to healthy relationships in the home. When we encourage, when we have our program, we encourage students after they go through our social media platform, addiction curriculum, we challenge them at the end of the day, can you go 3 days, 5 days without social media or online gaming? Usually most of these students attempt it, but we saw more success when parents got involved with it, where parents said, look, I'm going to help and we're going to spend more time together. They do family time, more family time. They play board games. They go outside. They go to the beach, all these different things. And those students come back and say, look, sir, this was so refreshing. It's like I get to connect with my cousin. We get to do art and blah, 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 blah. And you realize that, hey, I don't need a device in order to feel like I am someone or in order to have fun. All right. So thank you so much, like I said, once again, for having me. And I do really appreciate this. And hopefully we'll get to do more of this in the future.
Thank you, Arnold. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today for this important My Pulse live session. We hope that you're leaving with greater awareness, practical tools, and the confidence to keep your children safe in their digital spaces. A special thank you to Arnold Gosselin for guiding us through this critical topic with clarity and care. And as kids spend more time online during this school break, let's stay involved, as he said, ask a lot of questions, and create safer digital habits together. We appreciate your time and commitment, and we look forward to seeing you at our next live webinar. Everyone, take care and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Feliz día para todos, gracias.